History is often crowded by a specific, persistent rumor, the idea that the most fanatic remnants of the Third Reich vanished at the end of World War II rather than surrender. This narrative centers on the Nazi gold train, an armored locomotive supposedly laden with looted treasure and hidden within the labyrinthine tunnels of Project Riese in the mountains of modern-day Poland. It is accompanied by a second legend, Station 211, an impregnable, high-tech fortress built deep beneath the Antarctic ice. These stories offer a cinematic conclusion to the war, a definitive end where the monsters flee to the edges of the map. However, the declassified records from 1945 describe a very different kind of disappearance. The Antarctic myth found its footing in Operation Highjump, a massive U.S. Navy expedition in 1946 involving 13 ships and 4,700 men. Led by Admiral Richard Byrd, its scale fueled rumors of a secret military clash under the ice. The conspiracy focused on the expedition's early termination and Byrd's public warning that the United States should protect itself from, quote, hostile planes coming from the polar regions. In reality, Byrd was looking at a globe. He was warning military planners that Soviet bombers could now utilize the Arctic flight path to strike American cities, a strategic shift that defined the early Cold War. While the public looked for phantom bases in the snow, the actual architects of the Axis war machine were navigating a far more practical escape route. These routes were known as the Rat Lines, a coordinated network of escape paths leading out of Germany and toward havens in South America, particularly Argentina. The logistics were remarkably mundane. Thousands of war criminals secured fake passports and Red Cross documents, often moving through transit points in Rome and Genoa with the help of sympathetic clergy and secret bank accounts. U.S. intelligence agencies were fully aware of these networks, actively utilizing them to extract informants and protect individuals deemed tactically useful. This included shielding Klaus Barbie. The government protected Barbie from prosecution, helping him flee to Bolivia in exchange for identifying Soviet spies. By 1947, the tactical requirements of the Cold War had effectively replaced the pursuit of post-war justice. A similar moral compromise occurred in the Pacific. In Harbin, China, the Imperial Japanese Army operated Unit 731, a secret facility dedicated to biological warfare. Doctors here conducted lethal experiments on prisoners, testing weaponized plague and anthrax, and performing vivisections without anesthesia to study the limits of human endurance. After the surrender of Japan, General Douglas MacArthur and U.S. occupational forces were tasked with bringing these perpetrators to trial. Instead, MacArthur granted blanket immunity to the leadership of Unit 731. In exchange, the United States military received the exclusive data gathered from their decade of human experimentation. Thousands of victims were killed for research that was then quietly purchased by the Allies to gain a strategic edge in the biological arms race against the USSR. While the public continues to search for the fabled Nazi gold train, the mass graves of the prisoners forced to build the Project Riese tunnels remain largely unacknowledged. In Harbin, the victims were dehumanized as maruta, or logs, by their captors. Furthermore, their families received no compensation or formal apology from the governments that brokered the deal for their killers' freedom. The perpetrators did not disappear into hidden ice spaces. Instead, scientists of Unit 731 and officials of the Third Reich were allowed to reintegrate into society, becoming successful academics, politicians, and businessmen. This state-sanctioned pardon is the documented reality of the post-war era. In the early days of the Cold War, the search for justice simply ended where the price of information began.